Well, welcome back to the Pastor's Podcast. Pastor Scott here with Jen Yee.
Hi.
Hi, Jen, who's sitting physically next to me, and Josh Mehany. Hey, Josh.
Hey.
And Josh is
Scott.
not sitting next to us. He is on the other side of the world. Josh, remind us again, what time is it there for you?
It is 9:30 p.m.,
All right.
9:34 p.m. Yeah.
9:30 p.m. It's 12:30, just afternoon here for Jen and I. So, man, before we jump in, how's your day been? I mean, this is the end of the day. Was it a
Yeah.
full day
Yeah, no.
or?
It's been a good day. Been a good day. Slower day, which has been nice. And no, but it's been fun to look forward to this. So it's kind of fun. Most of the time, the excitement of the day kind of passes by 9:30, but I've had something to look forward to from the beginning. So it's been fun.
Awesome.
It's a nice bonus to the time zone difference. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you're listening, I'm gonna assume many of you, if not most of you, know Jen and or Josh in different capacities in the life of the church, but they are both serving overseas on stints. What we're like kind of middle term, not short term, like a 2-week trip, not like long term, like they're moving there for the rest of their lives. But in various ways, they are serving this year in a couple of different places across the world. And so we just wanted to get them together and give you an opportunity to hear a little bit about what they're doing, where they're at, how God's been working, and how we as a church family can continue to come around alongside them and pray for them. And so, Josh, I mean, you're already there. Why don't you share with us a little bit about where in Africa you are, what you're doing, and how you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. Part of it's a long story, so cut me off if it gets too long. But I am currently in Malawi, in like southeastern sub-Saharan Africa, in a city called Blantyre. It's like the second biggest city in the nation. And I got here about 2.5 weeks ago, and I'll be here for another 8.5 months or so.
Hmm.
And long story short, the Lord opened the door to do research with a Christian hospital here called Cure International. And so, yeah, so I'll be here for that time doing that. And happy to go into more details about that, but that's kind of the gist of it. And so, yeah, kind of like the hope for the time is to be as helpful as I possibly can be to the hospital and also get a sense of what it's like for medicine to be a vehicle for evangelism
Mm,
and kind of get to rub shoulders with people doing that vocationally and in this kind of context
yeah,
as opposed to stateside. So yeah, so that's kind of a bit, but happy
awesome.
to go more or less for yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a cool and unique opportunity to get to see ministry on the ground, get to experience it, not in just a small way, but I mean, 9 months is a long time, right? There's a,
See.
Yeah.
and there's some type of metaphor to like the ministry baby or something but I don't have it right now, Jen. So I'm gonna let it pass. I'm gonna let it pass. But Josh, tell me a little bit about the hospital there. How long has it been there?
Yeah, I think it's been about 25 years, I think, in
Okay.
Malawi, and it's cool. I think Cure International, it's kind of a network of hospitals,
Right.
started by I think a Christian couple from the States, and now I think there's 11 hospitals across sub-Saharan Africa, and then one in the Philippines as well. And it's free of cost, free of charge, surgical services for pediatric patients across the continent
Mm,
focused on orthopedic and like plastics and reconstruction and some neurological surgery in different hospitals. So here at Cure Malawi, it's orthopedic and plastics surgical care, all free of charge, funded by like believers in the U.S. and across the U.K. and across the world,
mm.
and really just life-changing operations that are provided to kids here,
That's
and
amazing.
all yeah, all it's kind of been a beautiful thing of getting to spend time in the hospital and seeing how evangelism and the gospel is core to everything that's done of Like there's no patient or family that walks in the door that walks out without hearing the gospel like presented
Mm,
clearly.
mm.
Um, and yeah, so that's a bit more about Cure. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So is it actually I'm not even sure. I realized in our previous conversations, I'm not even sure what I'm picturing. Does Cure have its own hospital? Is it working within like other like another physical hospital building?
Totally. Yeah. So it's an independent hospital building,
Hmm.
and it's like a non-governmental hospital.
Wow.
But it's cool that it's situated like right in kind of the medical like center kind of the nation. The like largest governmental referral hospital
Mm.
is literally across the street.
Wow.
And it is the main like orthopedic referral center of the country. So it's kind of all situated, and like the one medical school in the country is on the other side of the street. So it's kind of all situated next to each other, but it's its own hospital,
Hmm.
um, right there. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, so I want to ask a few more questions about like how kind of what brought you there, where and stuff like that. But before we do, Jen,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Jen, about so you're leaving at this point in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, at 12 days to be exact, on 29.
Okay, so you're in 12 days. You are going to Southeast Asia
Mm-hmm.
to spend 3 months, right, with our partners Craig and Lisa. So, for those that aren't familiar, will you remind what Craig and Lisa and the team there are involved in, and what you're going to be doing in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, for sure. So Crick and Lisa has been a partner of Cornerstone for, I think, almost 3 decades now, and they serve Southeast Asia in many capacities. They have the medical outreach. They also have a university education outreach that they do on campus, and they also help with the local agricultural fishermen scene as well. And the goal is like all these are all means to conduct Bible studies with the local people there as well. And then for me, this time primarily I'll be going there to help with the medical team, but also availing myself to any other community development opportunities that will be there, as well as campus outreach as well to the students that they're reaching to.
Okay, and the population is largely Muslim,
Muslims, yes.
right? And so the campus outreach is oftentimes among Muslims.
Mhm.
So, can you give a little bit a background of your like what's your background and how are you uh, what kind of work are you going to be doing with the medical outreach team?
So I recently graduated from my nurse practitioner program. I also hold a registered nursing license. I've been a nurse for about 6 years now. So when I'm going there, I'll be partnering with a American trained DO that's on the ground right now who does a lot of grassroots medicine with the rural communities there. So kind of think about like managing chronic conditions, but in a low resource center or area. And then since the partners there are located really close to where the earthquake had happened, I'm anticipating to help out with disaster relief efforts as well.
Okay, yeah, actually, for those that aren't familiar, can you give us a quick update on what do you mean by the earthquake? Like, those are the types of things that like hit our headlines for like a day, right? And then they disappear, and we're like, wait, what happened?
Right. I think there was like a 7.8 magnitude earthquake that happened, I think, I want to say about 2 months ago,
Hmm.
and hit them pretty hard. Many of their fishermen village, the project that they're working there got halted. I think there are a lot of broken homes as well. A lot of the villages had to kind of be displaced temporarily to find like a different place to live. And then in the last couple of months, a lot of local team members have been deployed to like deliver food supplies, medical supplies, and just anything that they need. And I think recently one of their praise reports is that one of their student centers actually got repaired too to welcome the new incoming students for the academic year.
Cool.
So yeah,
Wow.
a lot of relief is still happening as we speak.
Yeah. So, okay, so lots of relief going on that you're going to be stepping into with the um, ongoing team there. So this is the same location that we have a short-term team actually right now
Yeah.
there, but you're going to be going kind of on their heels, but staying there for 3 months.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm since we're here, I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to swing back to Josh.
Yeah.
But you've been a nurse for about 6 years. You just graduated with your nurse practitioner's degree. Um, Upon graduation, you're like, the first thing I should do is take 3 months off from work and go serve in the Philippines. Like, what? Why? Like, what was it that led you to say, even upon graduation, actually, this is like the first thing the Lord wants me to do right now?
Yeah, for sure. It's a long time coming too. It might be a long story, so cut me off too whenever.
Okay, I'm gonna put this mic just in front of your mouth a little bit more because you look at me and then I want to catch everything you say.
Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so it all started when I was in high school when I went, well, first I was born and raised in Malaysia, and I grew up in a local church that did a lot of community outreach, both locally and globally as well. And by the grace of God, I had great mentors that kind of showed me how missions can be done well. So when I was a junior and senior in high school, I did two separate trips to Cambodia, and we were partnering with a local pastor who bought like a brothel and turned it into a literary center, and that was his way to minister to the local people by teaching them English. And when we went there the first time, it was a big group of 30 people. We kind of threw like a VBS and kind of just treated the kids that way and served the kids that way, evangelized that way. And then on the weekends, we would go on like long 2 hour like motorbike rides to the middle of like a paddy field or like the middle of nowhere. And we would just have like Sunday services just out in the wild. And I think that really stuck with me. Like it was not only fun to a teenager, but I was just intrigued by how politically, the villages are the ones that have the most disparities, and they just lack access to a lot of different things. And I was just curious to see how like God is like also continuing to work in that area like abroad. So I went back again the following year with a smaller team of four, and we were able to do a lot of life with the local missionaries there as well as the local team members there as well. And then from there, I did a lot of public health initiative where we would teach like basic hygienes to the local villages, and these had kids like just running around naked with like teeth falling out and just rubbish everywhere. And then that just really sparked my interest not only for like public health slash like healthcare at that time, and then kind of began my journey and like conviction in like social justice and things like that. And then upon graduation from high school, I came to the United States for college. And God was really kind, kind of just shaped my heart in just different convictions. Like, I think when I was younger, I was very ignorant and arrogant as well, like thinking that, oh yeah, I could save the world or like could end poverty. That was like my initial like head into like missions. Like, yeah, we can take the word of God and we can also try to save the world.
Mm.
Yeah, and just along the way, as I'm figuring out like missions too, I was also growing in my faith. And I thought that I was working and trying really hard to find like an opportunity to go abroad again, to do missions, but God just really just closed the door. Just didn't have any like partners or like relationships with anyone abroad. And then it got me thinking like, oh, I graduated in 2022 from undergrad from my nursing degree. And that's when COVID happened. And it was a very clear sign that I couldn't do missions abroad upon graduation from college, because that was the kind of like the timeline and expectation that I had. Like I would take months off and just do missions abroad after undergrad. Um, yeah, so God closed that door very vividly. And
For everybody.
yes.
Yeah.
So I had to stay local. And then that's when I started asking myself, okay, if I have this desire to go abroad, the mission field is locally too. It's here and it's present. Um, so if I were to bring it abroad, like I should be doing missions here locally too. So that kind of started my efforts in like volunteering in community work, serving in the local church, and like just really asking God like what that really means. And then that's when I also started coming to Cornerstone too. And Cornerstone has a lot of partnerships locally and globally as well. And kind of went on different trips just over the years. And all these trips were all like non-medical, because along the way I was asking God to like, what can I do? But it's not so much what I do, right? because I think God was really kind and just showed me that at the end of the day, um, I could maybe patch someone up medically, but if they do not know the Lord and do not know Jesus, like what's the point essentially?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so expound on that just a little bit because so why right if ultimately we want people to know Jesus, like why you're going to do some medical work. You're going to work with a team that has community development in agriculture, that has medical clinics that are very in depth at taking care of a lot of like chronic issues and things like that. Why um, why should we be involved in the in that kind of alleviation of suffering? Does that like detract from the gospel, or how have you processed through the tension, or maybe potential tension between caring for people physically and the the call to evangelism and to salvation?
Yeah. I think just over the course of like going on different mission trip too and just doing ministry locally, like God has just continued to put impressions in my heart for the desire to still go abroad. And just working in oncology space too, even though it's a very hard place, there's still a lot of hope.
Mm,
Um, so I can't see like being separated, the physical
mm.
and the spiritual, because in order to be truly saved or truly healed, the spiritual is part of the physical as well. Yeah.
I love that, and it's because I mean it's the question is not fair. I apologize for that, but because I mean it's a false dichotomy, right? But not only, and I think sometimes we talk about it, and actually I love the way you put it because I think sometimes we talk about it and saying no, God cares about both the physical and the spiritual. I think that's true, right? He wants to alleviate suffering. Jesus came, and one of the signs of the kingdom was his alleviation of suffering and his healing and um, his compassion for people. So they're like God does care about both. But one of the things that I love about the way you just put it, Jen, is that the two are inseparable. Like as embodied souls, through physical healing, we're ushering in and opening doors to and having people experience spiritual healing. And through spiritual healing, it impacts us physically, right? It hope brings very real physical implications and alleviation and things like that. And so this holistic healing that God is after inevitably
Mm.
involves both. And we I think we miss the boat when we focus on either to the exclusion of the other. And not
Mm.
just because they're two good things, but because they're so intricately related. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay, Josh, maybe to take a step back, then I'd love to hear for you. So this is your first year after graduating from undergrad, right? And
That's right.
so
Yep.
what was it about? What was it that led you to graduating with your bachelor's degree, saying, you know what, the first thing I should do is spend 9 months or pursue an opportunity to serve in a place like a Christian hospital across the world?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Keep me on track, keep me coherent
Okay,
as I
okay.
go. But yeah, I think like Jen had said, and also just that congratulations again, Jen, on graduating the NP. That's just the coolest thing ever to send it to across the world and do that for 3. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But continuing, yeah, I think. Um, I've wanted to do foreign missions full time, like long term,
Mm,
for a while now, and I think that kind of came about sometime during high school. I think like Jen had said, I think I was surrounded by the grace of God by good mentors who had kind of challenged me to think about what made a life well lived, like what how to make your life count, like. I don't know, like you listen like John Piper sermons of "Don't waste your life," or I don't know if you've ever seen that seashells, like
mhm.
a seashells sermon in I think it was like Passion Con or something like that, long time
Mhm.
ago.
Yeah.
But but a common message in a lot of books and a lot of sermons, and it's good that it's common because it's in scripture of like of what does it mean to live radically for Christ and to take up your cross and to find joy in him alone and I don't know, to take that seriously and live life by it. And so I don't know, I'd been exposed to foreign missions around that time in high school and like trips to Mexico and and I don't know, I think in those experiences I had just felt so fulfilled and satisfied. Like that my joy was made full in those experiences of bringing the gospel to people that uh, had yet to been reached by the message. And not that that's required to be foreign, like we said, like there's missions around the corner. But there was something profound about that that just really fulfilled me. And so I was like, man, I'd really love to spend my life doing that in some type of capacity. And so around that time, there was a like a small little like midweek Bible study in one of my mentors' homes, and there was this lady who had immigrated from China recently, but she had come to know the Lord as a result of some foreign missionaries that had gone to China and spent their lives there evangelizing. And so she had come to our little Bible study and she was sharing her testimony and had said like if for anybody that is thinking about foreign missions or is interested in that, the best piece of advice that I could offer is to earn some type of skill set, some type of trade, something to do with your hands or something to bring aside from the message of Christ. And that can provide, Lord can use that to open doors to conversations and to people that otherwise might not be open to the gospel. And so I thought, oh man, that's so cool. And so I thought about that time. I was like, man, maybe going to seminary would be the right choice, or maybe, going to, or getting some type of skill set. And I'd grown up with family in the medical field, and so I'd kind of always been aware of that as a concept. And so around that time, I was like, oh man, doing medical missions seems like it'd be really cool of like medicine being a vehicle for the gospel to go forward and to gain access to places that otherwise would be difficult to. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what I head into college with that mindset, and I guess that's still where I'm at now. I had just applied to medical school a couple months ago, and so waiting to hear back from that. And so, if the Lord continues to, open doors in that direction, then hopefully medical missions long term. Um, but if not missions some and using some other skill set, hopefully
Mm.
on abroad. So yeah, so I think like after graduation, I had a year before just applied to med school, so have a year to kind of do something. And so I met with and this is the long story, so cut me off when it gets too long. But it was funny. I
You're
met
okay
with
at
a
this point.
okay, cool. I'd met with a mentor of mine last summer, and not a believer, but I had a lot of respect for him, and he's in the medical field, and so I was like, oh, what do you think would be a good idea? He's one of the professors at UCLA's med school, so I thought, oh, he might have a good insight into what would be a good use of a year before starting, and he knows I'm a believer and want to do missions long term. And so he's like, you should go do that. And I kind of expected to stay in a research lab somewhere.
Mm.
And I like research, and so I thought it'd be good. It's a well-trodden path, and so that'd be good. And so he was like, oh, you should go get medical missions experience. I was like, okay, that sounds awesome. I'd love to do that. I didn't know that was on the table. And so around that same time, I was thinking about, man, is there anything I could do on a mission field aside from manual labor that might be a vehicle, like that might be a tool to use while there? Like, is there any skill set that I've been given now that I could use that could be of any benefit aside from evangelism or for the sake of evangelism?
Mm.
And so I don't know, I kicked around in a research lab on campus for the past 4 years and thought maybe there's some type of skill that could be useful abroad there. And so came across like a post-grad program that provided funding for research abroad. And so it was a really long shot and was frankly vastly underqualified for it and was the kind of thing of like, oh, I'll throw my name in the hat and it would be only the Lord if it goes through. And so that kind of takes me where I am now. And
Mm.
so Um, yeah, so by the grace of God, it was like, man, there seems to be uh, like work that I believe in that I feel like is good, valuable things to do, that I feel like I've been equipped to do in the past 4 years, not knowing that I would be. Um, and so, yeah, so that's kind of what brought me here,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, it's such a cool snapshot of the journey that the Lord's brought. I mean, obviously his hand is through all of it, right? Been directing through all these different things, through all sorts of different conversations, through um, Christian mentors who've been guiding and shaping your worldview, through academic mentors who the Lord uses to bring it, and through the thing that stood out to me as you're describing that, Josh, is um, how many sophomores and juniors in college with a similar passion would be discouraged by the work they were doing in a research lab, right? Who
Mm.
would be like sitting there being like, why am I doing this? Like, why, this isn't like, this isn't what I want to be doing, you know? And like, and you know, I'm bored, or I'm like, this isn't, you know, these aren't the skills. Like, I want to go, you know, change. I want to go be a part of what God's doing somewhere else. Like, why am I spending these 4 years in a research lab not knowing that this is one of the vehicles the Lord is preparing for,
Yeah,
whether it's like a long-term skill or even just as a simple short-term skill, so that you can utilize it for this year to get a different kind of experience, to open other doors and to have other conversations. And
yeah,
so I just think it is so perspective giving to so many of us at any age and any stage in life, but particularly um, in those college years when it's like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Sometimes the Lord has all sorts of things in mind.
yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. And I was in that same spot of wondering what would come of the future of, I can't tell you how many times my mom had to counsel me of just be faithful with what's in your hand.
Mm,
Like just take the next step in faithfulness, whatever he's put in your hand, steward that to the best of your ability, and what comes of that is in his hands, not yours. But I had to be reminded of that constantly along the way. And it is so encouraging looking back, like, man, by no doing of my own, like the dots connect in ways that like I'm so grateful for,
mm.
and that I couldn't have orchestrated, with my own, two hands or head. So,
Oh man, that's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, so all right, so I want to ask both of you, um, why why these longer stints? Like, why 9 months? Why 3 months? You know, why not just take a 2 week trip to this hospital, or take a 2 week trip to visit the ghost assistants, and then start medical school, or then, you know, go back to work? Like, because I think it's really important. I think that it has some really unique benefits and opportunities. I'm really excited that you're both doing this, but I'd love to hear from your perspectives, the why you chose to do something like this as opposed to just a short trip and then, you know, get back to like the next thing, where you could start medical school a year earlier, or you could, you know, yeah, you know, move on to the things more quickly.
Jen, you gonna lead
Go
us in this
ago.
one?
I signaled you first, but you called me out. I
Okay.
guess I have to go.
It's the delay. It's the time delay
Right.
between here and Malawi.
It's a good question. Yeah.
No, I love that question. I mean, sorry, just a little Josh, it's been so cool to just see how excited you are just through the screen. It's so helpful for me to get excited for my own trip too. Just want to put it out there. But yeah, all my other trips that I've taken just in the last decade or so has always been 2 weeks, and every time I'm there, I always just have this feeling where I'm like, ah, I wish I'd stay longer. Like, because by
Hmm.
the end of it, because when you get there, you're like adjusting to the time difference, and then you're getting used to like maybe the food, the culture, kind of like how people live and things like that, and then you slowly like form a routine, and then oh, okay, it's time to say bye and come back. And then I just feel that with a longer trip, like a 3 month trip, I'm able to kind of get to know the local people more, kind of just walk with them a little bit longer, just hear their story more, and just to be present more, and to be able to maybe do some sort of a project too if there's anything that I can get on and just help in whatever capacity. I think that that's the reason why. And like for Southeast Asia, there's just so many things that I've heard that it's been going on, and it'll be just a waste to just be there for 2 weeks to not be able to see more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. What what about for you, Josh?
Yeah, echo everything Jen said. And kind of with that, what resonated in my head is yeah, I think in for a lot of people, I think in experiences abroad and missions, um, there's very commonly a feeling of I wish I could stay a bit longer. And
Mhm.
so part of me is I'm just selfish. I just am gonna stay a bit longer and just obliged to that
Mhm.
desire. But no, I think like on one side of things, on maybe practically speaking, um, yeah, I think there's something to be said of like a little bit of like longitudinal relationships there. I mean, both in terms of like a ministry capacity of like any type of a relational evangelism. It can take time to form relationships and to open up doors for gospel conversations, and
Mm.
having a bit longer makes that a little bit more easy to facilitate. I think so. I think there's something to be said in that direction, and then also practically in of like going towards projects, like Jen's doing, or doing research here. I think having a longer time period makes that kind of work possible. Um, and again, forms more relationships in the process, and get to know a lot of people along the way. Um, and then kind of more of a like a in terms of like desire portion of it. It's for my own joy. It's just incredibly fulfilling and satisfying. And so like if I had finished all my training, I don't think I'd come back. I think I'd just stay. But yeah, so I think in that sense, it's staying for the sake of, I think like one of the biggest joys I think is getting to see the way the Lord works
Mm.
um, across the world in a completely different cultural context, and how it's the same body, the same word, the same message that is bringing salvation to people. And the longer you stay, the more you see. And so yeah, so I think like in terms of that, it's just it really is such a joy to be able to see that. And so staying longer just gives you that gift of getting able to see a bit more.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
That's so great. And it's so encouraging. And one of the reasons I am so thankful for you both, not only responding to that God-given desire, but even but sharing it is my hope that is that more and more people will get the opportunity and take the opportunity to experience that joy because um, I think there's a real important role for short-term, 1, 2 week type trips for the sake of the continuation and development of our relationships and our partnerships for the type of development you described, Jen, over years and different visits and different things that nurture a heart that maybe the Lord teaches. I think there's a huge place for that. And there's also obviously a place for going long term, for moving your life into a cross-cultural context for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of the bringing the gospel through a specific skill or uh, way of alleviating suffering and manifesting Christ in those ways. Um, I also think there's a really important place for this type of visit where maybe you're not or not yet moving your life somewhere, but there's real benefits to something more than just a couple of. It's why educationally we do semesters abroad, right? Because there's a different kind of education, there's a different kind of experience, there's a different kind of engagement in that's not a trip or a vacation, that's not moving. That there's a real opportunity and benefit to that, and I think when we think about missions and missional development and the life of the church, this is just a really sweet opportunity that that the Lord's given both of you. And then I'm praying he gives more and more people as well. So I'm really excited
Yeah,
about
and
that.
can I go along with that,
Yeah.
Scott? I think like you were saying with that, I think I wouldn't have known the sweetness of seeing the Lord work internationally without those short-term trips.
Hmm.
Of like those 1 to 2 week trips. Those I think offer such valuable exposure and getting a taste of it and tasting and seeing and
Mm,
like without like those type of experiences. I don't think I would be here for 9 months because I don't think I would have known.
mm.
And so I don't, last thing I'd want to do is disparage any shorter term trips. I think those
Yeah,
are, of course there can be, valid conversations to have about, the how to go about them wisely, so they're
totally. How to do that
sustainable and all
well.
these things. Right, of course, but they can be done well, and
Mm,
in those cases, they offer so much value, to to people where missions are done, and also to the people going,
mm.
is incredibly valuable. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to
Oh,
echo that what you were saying.
awesome. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, so as both of you begin these seasons, Josh, as you are beginning it, Jen, as you are about to begin it, are there particular things that you're either nervous or excited or both about? Actually, I was just driving kids to school today for like first day of school. This is my question to them. What are you nervous and excited about? Um, but yeah, how are you like what's on your mind just very practically? And we've kind of talked like big picture. I'm curious, just meeting you in the moment. What are the things that you're either nervous or excited about or both?
Go, Josh. You look like you're ready.
Okay, sounds good. In terms of like very practical ways that would be really helpful for prayer and for the Lord to work is I think like kind of what we were talking about earlier of like be faithful to the thing that's in your hand now.
Um,
And seeking to do the best you can with stewarding whatever it is. Like right now there's a lot of things on the docket research wise and hoping to be helpful in that capacity here, to cure in the government hospitals locally. And so that like practically means a lot of different items and a lot of different timelines to complete by. And also a lot of timelines that aren't necessarily dependent upon me meeting deadlines, but more so like governmental organizations or different collaborators, you know, um, returning things timely. And so I think in that sense, whole lot of that, actually, most of it is out of my hands. But I'm very invested in and want to see them go well. And so be helpful. So I think like practically that I think there's a mix of like excitement of like, man, I think a lot of these projects have like real value to add to the work being done and like some like brief natural like some of them looking at like nutritional protocols to have kids that before and after surgery to optimize outcomes so that kids do better that need surgeries. And so it's like, oh man, that would be great. Like, would love for that to happen. And I guess part of that depends on, these things getting done at a certain time point. And so I guess like super excited about that kind of work being done and getting to be a part of it. But also nervous about, man, I want to make sure we can do it well. And to, maximize my ability to serve in that capacity. So I think like it has become very nitty-gritty in the last few days of that,
Mm.
which is exciting, and also challenging. So prayer for that would be incredibly appreciated for I guess the Lord to um, you know make take my feeble efforts and make them useful to the people here and vehicles for gospel conversations and the like. So
Absolutely. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
That's so cool. I'm just like processing everything he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, I love the
Oh.
opportunity, and one of the things I love, Josh, too, is the opportunity to pray with you
Yeah.
for even just really practically for the success of these projects, for the things that are beyond your capacity, that involve so
Yeah.
many different people and so many different, agencies and organizations and things like that to collaborate and to fulfill. Um, the fact that we can go to the God who is over all of that,
Yeah.
with you and on your behalf for the sake of these patients, for the sake of the work the Lord's called you to do, um, and for the inroads that each one of those steps, each one of those interactions, and the ultimate information they produce are inroads to the gospel and open doors
Yeah.
to those gospel
Amen.
conversations. So,
Yeah. Well, I think for me, when I heard your question, it brought me back to the Zoom call that we all had the very first time with the local team in Southeast Asia, where
a
we
few months
first,
ago.
yeah, where we first met with Brandon and Nurse Dakota on the field. At that time, it was like I had a lot of different tensions going on. I was like thinking about like future plans and career, whether I should be potentially moving to try for like an opportunity up north, post grad and stuff like that. And then when I was in the Zoom call, Brandon, who's the doctor that I'll be working with, he was so eager to just like teach me. He was like, Jen, like I love doing grassroots medicine, and I do ultrasound too, like on the go, and I teach medical students as well. And you're more than welcome to like see your own patients by yourself. If you want to see them with me, you can see them first and then see me. He was like already throwing out all these options, like so eager to just train me and just take me under his wings. And just in that moment, all the things that he mentioned, it just reminded me of all the prayers that I prayed in the past, but kind of just forgotten because like over time, just haven't seen God open a door. And then because even though we had this long-term partner with Southeast Asia, they were closed for a couple years too because of political unrest and things like that. And it wasn't in the recent years that they opened. So really, what I'm excited about is just to be able to learn from the team. And I think I just enjoy the challenge of being in a under-resourced place to kind of find sustainability for like medical care for the villages. And yeah, it would be cool to kind of just learn and see what God has been doing and working in the field for so long too.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, that's so sweet. I'm I'm super excited for that, and what I as you described that, I'm thinking about all the prayers that so many of us pray that we forget, that the Lord brings to our mind and answers in His perfect timing.
In his perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so true. Because yeah, like what Josh has said prior to, there's no way that I could have orchestrated this. My job is so kind to allow and approve like that 3 month leave of absence. And as I was like putting in my application too, like I had doubts because I heard one of my other coworkers application for his FMLA got denied. And I was just like, what? How can you ever get an FMLA denied when it's like necessary, right?
or like
For
family leave.
family leave
Yeah.
to take care of like a family member. So I was like, God, like I don't know, like it's all in your hands. Like if
Mm.
this is the door that you have for me, like you would have to open it. So kind of just like applying for it with that humility and like that surrender, and for it to come through like months later was really sweet.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's so cool. That's so cool. Well, I so appreciate that. I think that's even for both of you, it's an encouragement um to all of us and to all those even listening who are praying and praying about desires to see God use them to for desires to be used locally, for desires to be used globally, for that come with a lot of questions, but those prayers don't go unheard. Those prayers get heard and answered in the Lord's perfect timing, and um, and I think it encourages all of us to not only ask the questions, to both ask the questions of how the Lord wants to use us in the midst of this broad world, not to uh, single-handedly end poverty, as you said, Jen,
But
but to be a part of the of His kingdom
yeah.
breaking through in this world, because that's the hope for the world, right?
Mhm.
Is the kingdom
Mm.
of God
Yeah.
coming and being manifest more and more. Um, Okay, well, as we wrap up, any last ways we can be praying for each of you, Jen, as you prepare, Josh, as you kind of settle in personally there? Any other ways we can be praying for you?
Just pray for me, for my heart, just for dependence on the Lord. Pray for the local team too as they try to navigate ways on how they can better serve the community, as well as prayer protection against like any work of the enemy and the spiritual darkness.
Mm,
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I would echo that, and I think also I like opportunities for like gospel conversations
Yeah.
would be great. I think it's fun. There's it's I'm so grateful to be in a Christian hospital and working with other Christian organizations, and there's lots of non-Christian organizations as well. And so opportunities, and the Lord would give wisdom and guidance in how to be tactful and wise and winsome in presenting the gospel in that kind of context would be so appreciated. I need the prayer. So
Mm,
I'd really appreciate that.
absolutely. Well, that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to invite both of you to share with the church family so that we all can be joining you in prayer and praying for those things specifically, praying for each of you, for your hearts, for your ministries, for these unique opportunities, and praying that the Lord would multiply your efforts while you're there, multiply uh, the senders and goers in our midst as well, and that more of us would be drawn to engage sacrificially with our resources, with our time, whether that's short term, whether that's medium term, right, whether that's long term, that the Lord would continue to raise up generations of disciple makers and disciple multipliers here at Cornerstone so that we get to be a tiny little part of this
Yeah.
incredible story the Lord
Mm.
is writing throughout the world. So thanks for spurring us on in that. Thanks for the work that you're doing, and thanks for the opportunity it is to get to pray for both of you. It's such a blessing.
Thank you, Pastor Scott. Thank you. And just to add also, that just I have been so deeply shaped by Cornerstone in the past 4 years and have had countless conversations with people in our church about the trip I'm on now and like this coming year, and have been so deeply encouraged and lifted up in prayer by the people in our church. And like, wouldn't be here without all of you. So thank you for the way that I've been poured into and discipled and encouraged in the Lord, and so thank you for the prayer and the encouragement. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. Thanks for the time. Thanks for staying up with us, Josh. We appreciate it. Hope
Of
you
course.
get some good sleep tonight. Jen, thanks so much, and excited for your send off in just 12 days. And thank you all for listening. Thanks for listening during the Josh. I don't know if you can hear all the bumps. Somebody's doing work up on the roof here above us, so
Oh,
it's been kind of fun coming through. It reminds me for all the work that we're doing on the facility here, like that it is important and like needs to happen. Like this is why, so that these kind of conversations and this kind of sending can continue to go on inside,
Hmm.
right? It's not about the building; it's about the work that's going on inside the building. And so it's a sweet reminder to me, even as the two go on simultaneously. So, well, thanks, guys. Thanks again. Thanks for being a part of this, and thanks to the Lord for the work He's doing, and thank you all for listening and for participating and being a part of this with us. We love you, and we'll see you on Sunday.